नमो नमः नमः सर्वेभ्यः श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. Hello and welcome to this series of engaging conversation, Vishva Vignanam. In this, first let's say that what it is not and what it is, and then we'll dwell deep into the topic right away. This is not about visual effects. This is not about sound effects. This is not about captions. This is not about editing capabilities. This is not about bashing somebody else. This is not about insulting someone else. This is not shaming someone else or self. And this is not blaming anyone. Then let's say, what is it about? It is about engaging content. It is about meaningful conversations, respectful conversation, very important, because we are going to embark on this journey of learning together. Then what kind of attitude do we need to bring to these conversations is introspection. We need to self-introspect. Each one of us need to introspect, self-reflect, commitment to do your honest SWOT analysis. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are my opportunities? What are my threats? Why am I in this state? Why am I not able to understand this knowledge? Why am I not able to articulate this knowledge to myself, my immediate family, friends, and someone else? Why are we in this state? Look through this without blaming others, because you are responsible too. As an introduction, let's say that what are we going to discuss? Why did we call it Vishva Vignanam? What are we going to cover? In this series, we are going to cover the knowledge of universe and universal knowledge. Knowledge of the universe deals with what is this universe? What is universe? What is the term? How do we define? Where is this defined? In which body of knowledge? You might label this as Sanathana Dharma. You might label it as Hindu Dharma. You might label it as Purana. You might label it as Itihasa. You might label it as Veda. But this entire thing is a body of knowledge that deals with the entire universe and universal. The important thing is to understand it is universal. It doesn't mean that it is applicable to one region, one person, one context, and not to others. So it is very, very, very important for you to understand this is universal. Without that context, we will be taking a limited, siloed, narrow view into this. So, for example, okay, you said universal body of knowledge. How do we define this knowledge? Is this categorized? Absolutely. This knowledge is categorized broadly into sensory knowledge and extrasensory knowledge or perception. Prakata Vidya means your five senses can grasp this knowledge through either directly experiencing or through inference. Pratyaksha Anumana. These are all pramanas. Whether you go to Yoga Sutras or any other body of knowledge, it really deals with how do you grasp particular knowledge. How do you see? I'm here talking to you. How are you experiencing this? Where am I? You actually have no sense of where am I unless I reveal it to you. So you need to rely on my expression or my disclosure of my physical location in terms of geolocation, in terms of location within that. Am I in a house? Am I in some other place? So this is very important. sensory knowledge and extrasensory guhya vidya. This is further classified into guhya, guhyatara, guhyatama. So whenever we talk about this Vishwa Vignanam, whether the body of knowledge related to Sanathana Dharma or Hindu, if you put those labels, it's fine because they are all the same. But if you put Sanatana Dharma or Hindu, that seem to have a very religious connotation and people come with a closed mindset. That's why we are calling these series of talks as Vishva Vignana Pradipika. Because we are going to look this body of knowledge through that lens of knowledge. We will even define what is science and scientific. When we are embarking on a journey of knowledge, whether it is even in the real world, like whether you go to talk about finance, you need to understand the terminology. You go and talk about computers and technology, you need to understand. You go into marketing, you need to understand that. One thing that we found through 25 plus years of embarking on this journey is there are people, highly capable people delivering this. Sometimes they are at a PhD level. A lot of people are coming without basic understanding of the terminology. So we will introduce the terminology. Let's all be on the same page, learn from each other. It is not that I know I'm giving it to you kind of an attitude here, please. We need to make sure that we learn from each other. This is an ecosystem that we want to build through mutual respectful dialogue. So we said that this is a body of knowledge broadly classified into. Sometimes what happens is this body of knowledge, which is extrasensory, we are trying to look at through this sensory perception and say that, oh, I don't agree what it is saying. So we will kind of demystify that and say, why are we trying to look something that need to be looked through a microscope through your eyes and say that it doesn't exist? The second part is the same body of knowledge is narrated in three different styles. Rajavat Bodhayet, like a king, like a rule book. Mitravat Bodhayet, like a friendly narration who is a well-wisher for you. And Kantavat Bodhayet. We'll take modern relevant examples saying that these styles of narration and education, training and communication exists right now and it is ever relevant. That is why it is called Sanatanam. This, the relevance of these methodologies, the relevance of these classifications, the relevance of these narration styles don't change because human mindset perceives, understands and grasps information in certain way and we are all unique. Let's make sure that we understand this equality notion is misnomer. We are all unique. We all have special skills. Just because I like poetry doesn't mean that I should be disrespected compared to somebody who is so comfortable with formulas, right? Like we both grasp the same information. That's why this narration style comes like that. So we will kind of look through these lenses and say, what is this body of knowledge? Is this universal? Unrelated to universe? This has been captured and shared with us by people who have transcended the human state of mind into an enlightened state of conscious. They saw that information through their extrasensory perception. They brought it to us, shared it with us. So that's why we need to understand the classification of the knowledge, the terminology associated with this, the narration style. Most important, oh, this is all fine. Is it relevant for me for today and in my current stage and phase of the life? We will take practical examples, throw them in your chat, like throw them in your communication. We will take all of those things and address. The misnomer, misconception is this is only relevant for spiritual pursuit. Spiritual pursuit is not different from material pursuit. A society in which material pursuit reaches peak and sustains is the society that can embark on a spiritual. It cannot think. If you are struggling, whether you take the basic needs triangle, if you're struggling for your basic needs, how can you even think of spirituality, right? So we are talking about societies, we are talking about human mindset where humans, societies have accomplished, understood the natural cycles of production, sustenance, and continued sustenance. After that, there is that introspection stage. Is there more? So we are going to really touch on those things. We'll take one item at a time. We'll kind of explain the terms and terminologies associated with it. We'll engage through active participation. We'll take the questions and reactions. So your feedback, your reactions are very important. Numbers are not really what we are looking for. It is not a number game by any means. So what we need to really make sure that we are continuing to pursue this body of knowledge. Before we wrap this episode, let's say, how is this knowledge captured and shared? This knowledge is there globally across so many bodies. But one body of knowledge that we will tap into is captured in Sanskritam. It is extensively available, and this knowledge is kind of covering the knowledge of the universe, universal knowledge. What it means, it also deals with core concepts of creation, composition of various bodies within the creation. It also deals with how do we interact, interface, we in the sense humans. But is human life the most superior, or do we need to treat the entire universe as equal? This body of knowledge gives you frameworks and frameworks and frameworks. That is the most important thing, is when you take this body of knowledge, it doesn't just give you the fundamental concepts and how things happen, but it also gives you frameworks through which you can look and say that what can I gain? What can I learn? What can I do? What can I contribute? How can I be part of this ecosystem? The third thing is this is a friendly narration. It will be presented in use cases. Several use cases are presented. That is the beauty of it. The modern day, if you take whether it is masters of science to masters of business administration, so many fields of study, they deal with case study way of presentation. The case study way of presentation is more effective because initially you will deal with that body of knowledge without putting yourself there. Second, you will kind of slowly move an inch towards putting yourself and say, how is this framework applied to me in this context? And you are empowering yourself with knowledge, tools, toolkits, and frameworks so that you can apply them in any situation that you are in. So really looking forward for your active engagement. Where did this come about? Before we wrap up, we need to address that, right? Like, why now by this series? We had the same questions. We said that we are very scientific. We'll kind of scratch that word and say that what does it mean? how do we define? Maybe I'd like to hear some of your thought of what is the science and scientific mean. The very next episode, maybe we'll deal with that so that we kind of set the stage very clearly. We had these questions. We asked, tell me why, tell me how, tell me what is the benefit, what are the side effects, and all of those questions. And we had few answers, but quite a few unanswered. So when we continued our journey, I'm an engineer. I work in technology as Chief Information Security Officer, and I've been a successful entrepreneur. I have traveled globally extensively, so I have seen this. Last few months, it didn't really a global survey to understand why are we not looking at, for example, Ramayana? Is it a beautiful story or is that a body of knowledge, immense body of knowledge? Because there is that knowledge. Are we able to see? Why are we not seeing through that lens? Mahabharata, Vyasa says that he actually throws out a challenge. This is a body of knowledge. There is nothing beyond it, and everything that is possible is here. So there is a very tall claim. And we said that no, this is too tall. But when we started studying Mahabharata, we said that this is absolutely. If you're a poet, you see great poetry. If you're an economist, you will see great economics. If you are into medicine, you can. If you're into astronomy, you can see. And you can, if you're a leader, you can see all the traits of leaders and leadership. If you're building and expanding empires, how do you kind of negotiate and build those allies? It is there. So this is not claim, but where did we fall short for generations that this is not being looked at as a body of knowledge that can be tapped into to gain understanding? Human minds work the same. Even we will not go into this carbon dating thing because some people say that 5,000 years Mahabharata, let's accept. Ramayana, that's another question. We'll deal with it in a separate episode, but it is a long time, let's say. Even though 10,000 years and all is thrown, that is not how we can calculate this because we are in the 28th Chaturyuga and Kali Yuga. It happened in 24th Chaturyuga, Treta Yuga. The timelines, we need to understand at least the timelines and say that human mindset, the way of thinking, the way of processing hasn't changed by taking this. We are really not taking positions here. We are learning the thought process and how can that thought process help us understand ourselves first, introspect, reflect, and be a better self for any pursuit that you have. Because how a student should lead life that is captured in Ramayana is relevant now. How a king or a ruler or a leader should be there that is presented by Kalidasa and Raghuvamsham is ever and still relevant. Same thing goes on for Mahabharata and Bhishma's knowledge transfer to Yudhishthira through Shanti and Anushasanika Parvas. It's not just a mini MBA, it is a mega MBA. It covers a range of topics. So we had these questions and that got answered, and we started sharing this information. And people said that no, this has to be an engaging conversation. We used to have several, and we will continue to have these conversations in person where possible because that is more engaging. And there's a back and forth dialogue, right? Like we learn from each other. It is a symbiotic process. Learning is, it's never a one-way street. Given the limitations, when we said, okay, let's understand where is this? Maybe there are people who are more learned than us. We can learn from each other. They said, absolutely. But having said that, there is an opportunity right now we see based on the survey done globally is we have never looked through these bodies of knowledge as the bodies of knowledge that are ever relevant including today. I'll throw a small challenge. Has anybody looked at Ramayana as a great communication training tool? Some people say yes, some people say no. But we need to ask for pramana. Give me an example where it is. Show me how it is. How can I learn? The first time Hanuman meets Rama and Lakshmana, he talks to them. Rama is so fascinated by the way that he communicates, that depth of the knowledge, every word that he chooses, the sentence formation that he is making, is fascinated. He says to Lakshmana, look at him. I'll just take one sloka. We'll delve deeper into it as we kind of go through this interactive learning process, collaborative learning, mutual learning, and sharing. Rama says that न मुखेर्नेत्रयोर्वापि ललाटे च भ्रुवोस्तदा अन्येष्वपि च गात्रेषु दोषः संविदितः क्वचित्. There is not even a single flaw in his face, in his eyes, in his forehead, eyebrows, because these are the parts of the body, an entire body language is perfect, Lakshmana. Have we not learned this body language? Same body language are we not discussing in our schools, in our corporate trainings, saying that how do we connect to the audience? And then how do we be crisp and all? That Rama talks about. Hanuman demonstrates it. So let's look at, let's share, let's engage. Please share your feedback. Is this meaningful? Is this relevant? Is this what is missing? Is this something that collectively we can engage in and to say, can we define these words? Can we define? We keep saying Hindu. We keep saying Sanathana Dharma. What does it mean? What kind of way of life is this one? Is this vaguely putting a label, or are we able to articulate it? Please let us know. Looking forward for this. Thank you very much. Shivaya Vishnu Rupaya Shiva Rupaya Vishnave. Sri Guru Namaha.